welcome back to another episode of Elevated Marketing Podcast, where we attempt to simplify, although Jennifer makes things complicated sometimes, digital marketing topics to make your business grow. Today, we are going to talk about the precision targeting that Google Ads now has with their audience choices. There are certainly a lot of them, aren't there?
There are.
A lot we can talk about. So, before we get started, let's do our fun question. What is something on your desk, a nearby wall, or out the window that cheers you up during the day?
Oh,
Yes.
that's a good question.
Oh, I know. I'm looking over at my desk and I'm like, I got all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah. Well, I will say typically I've got a cat somewhere in here,
There you go.
either Polly or Theo, and sometimes they are on my desk. So they cheer me up unless they're trying to sit on my keyboard, which is
Yeah.
it happens. But yeah, I do have this little, let me show the class. It's like a little daily calendar, but it's like mindfulness and like positive.
There you go.
My friend got for me. So I
Love
like
it. I have probably like 6 or 7 of those books over here on the bottom of my shelf that I pull out all the time. Like I am a huge like quote person. I have
Yeah,
a pair of sunglasses over here from when I went to Florida with my best friend, and that's fun.
nice.
I have lots of colored markers. Those make me happy. Chapsticks.
Yeah,
Lots of chapsticks over there.
it's stocked over here as well.
All kinds of fun stuff. I think it's important to kind of have that in front of you, like, to keep it fun.
For sure.
All right. So let's talk about, Google Ads audiences. That it's just changed so much in the last 2 year. I mean, it's always changing, but Google Ads for the heaviest part was really all about keywords and search and showing up when somebody searched. But recently in the last couple of years, Google has just gotten really good at targeting audiences or people that you're trying to get in front of.
Mm-hmm. This is a sort of off topic. It just made me think of something with like the keywords. Google's also kind of gotten away from that, like in the SEO world too. It's not all about your keyword stuffing. So I don't think it's a coincidence that it's moving over from just keywords. But
well, really, what does a keyword tell you? Not much.
Yeah, right.
There's so much, and things that can be interpreted. Like, am I trying to talk to a B2B audience or a B2C? And it's very rudimentary to think about just a keyword. So it's the evolution of I can actually target a particular person, which is really what we're, in marketing. Typically, we have a persona or somebody that we're trying to get in front of, and being able to put your audience versus a keyword is much, much better.
For sure. So what are the different, like, I don't know, I guess, ways you can target? Like, what are the whole title of the podcast?
Yeah.
How precise can we get?
Pretty precise. The first thing I think about, though, is, where these audiences are best being applied, and it's these Google Performance Max. And the benefit of those type of campaigns is I can be in front of all of Google's properties that they have. So YouTube, Google Display, Gmail, Discover, Search. I mean, all of them by targeting by audiences. So it gets you in front of a lot more audiences.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Okay, so you asked, and I feel like we're going to talk about this for a while, but there are affinity segments. So this is where you are reaching users based on what they're passionate about, their habits and interests, and it should be no surprise to you that Google knows how you're searching on the internet and where you are spending your time. And so it can, basically determine that I maybe like running things because I've signed up for the Indy 500 lately, into the, 500 race. It makes those decisions about who I am based on my behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one.
Mm-hmm. So we don't just have FBI agents keeping tabs. It's
This is correct. No, let's when I watch crime shows and I see people like, in the courtroom and they're like, "Well, we got all of your Google search behavior. Remember, everything you search is available to anybody."
Right.
So really think about that. So there are detailed demographics like your age, your gender, your household income. You can target by that information. Um, there are life events like I know if you're a current college student. I know if you're employed at a large employer that has 1,000 to 10,000 employees.
Mm-hmm.
I know if you're employed at a healthcare industry. It's, I know if you're married. I know if you're single. I know if you're a parent. Like all of that type of information you can get with this detailed targeting. So, in market, so based on you searching for and being in market for an item. So right now we're potentially looking for a newer car, and Google knows that because of all my search behavior and what I've been searching. Wouldn't that be prime if you were a car dealership to have that information?
Yeah.
The interesting fact is, Facebook knows that too.
Yeah.
They're getting that information. And so I'm, see ads on that. One of the ways you can do is some custom segments. And so this one gets really interesting to me. So I can build some segments of people who have visited certain websites. So think about the ability for me be able to target people who have visited your competitors' websites. Maybe apps that you have interacted with that are in the same genre that I want to get to. I can also do like a data segment by uploading email list. So your CRM data and, create audiences like that.
Okay, so I have a question. So a lot of these audiences are pulled from using different behaviors. So like going to a website, an app, that sort of thing. Does the Apple privacy, all of that, does that interfere with any of these audiences?
I think it does from if you are accessing through Safari. So, and this is from how I understand it. So on your iPhone, they are blocking that data. But if you're going through like the Google app or Chrome or anything like that, they have enough information. But yeah, it is blocking some of it, which is always interesting to me because I know Apple wants that information for one reason or the other. They're not going to divulge it, but
Yeah. Well, and I feel like since that's all come out, it's just something else that we as marketers have had to adapt to and just expect that it is happening somewhere along the way.
yeah.
But
Yeah,
good
it's
to
gonna
know.
get dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so there are, just so many like, things that we mentioned, just like that you're in market for a costume, that you're, happen to be a cooking enthusiast that likes 30-minute chefs and like, I mean,
Mhm.
it's insane like the amount of targeting that you can get. And then to be able to create that kind of creative where you can be
Mhm.
on YouTube or you can be on display or you can be in search. So that's another audience. I can create an audience based on the way keywords that you use. So it's really just like combining them all into one, giant way to target.
Yeah. So for all of these audiences, are they all available across all of the different ad campaigns that Google has to offer?
That's where it gets real tricky. So if it was Performance Max, my answer would be yes. But let's say that you're running, just a, video campaign. I guess the answer would still be yes, but there's some of them where they're only available in one or the other if you're running these all individual. But in a Performance Max, those audience targeting is available for all of
Mhm.
them.
And you're reaching through all of Google's platforms essentially. So,
Yeah, yeah, and, there's a lot more creative, that has to be made, and you can make through all that, but you're
mhm.
reaching a lot more people and a lot more places. Yeah,
Yeah, interesting.
yeah. Some of these audiences can also be based on, like, contextual. So I can show up on a website because contextually speaking, that's probably a marketer that is on that website, like Search Engine Journal.
Mhm.
More than likely that's, a marketer that's on that website. And so I can target by that as well. So that's interesting.
Yeah. What about like any sort of look-alike audiences? Is that possible?
Yep, yep, you can. There's been some limitations that have kinda come out recently, as far as that is concerned, but,
Mm.
um, a lot of that is, wrapped up in kind of privacy type items, but, the thing is that Google is using those audiences, like, believe it or not, even with Performance Max, it's not like it's going to target only people within the audience. You actually give Google a little liberty to go past that based on the marketing objective that you choose. So if you choose conversions or you choose website traffic, then it's going to optimize for that particular whatever you've chosen.
Gotcha. That
Yeah.
would be nice to have with Google Performance Max. Just, I mean, Google knows Google best, so if they
Yeah,
have a
yeah.
little bit of leverage,
But they have to
it could
have
be
that information, so if you don't have
right.
conversions set up and you don't have enough information for Google to know who that is, then it's not gonna
Very
work
true.
as well.
Very true.
Yeah, so people have to keep that in mind too. Um, a lot of these one of the negatives that I'm not a big fan of is in a regular campaign, so if I was just to do a YouTube campaign, I can't layer audiences and do, like, an include, exclude, something to that
Mm.
nature. I would say that's something they could really improve on,
Mhm.
um but, when you do Performance Max, you're basically giving them all those audiences and letting Google kind of interpret who you're really looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems maybe a little inconsistent, I would say, just between, like, the different campaign types,
Yeah.
with the capabilities in Performance Max versus, say, just, like, display or video.
I think this is really just Google trying to take control, and they want to be able to, kind of figure that out for you, but
Mm.
if they would just allow us to give a little bit more information, like include, exclude, and then you can kinda take the wheel, Google, like, give me a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah.
Um, I think that would be helpful, but, yeah, I mean, it it's just amazing to me just how much, you're able to get to an actual audience. And one of the big struggles sometimes with Google search ads is that you want a particular audience. You don't
Mhm.
want somebody that just puts in a keyword, because it can mean multiple things. And even when you enter things into Google, your intentions could be completely different. But if you layer that with some audience, then you're bound to more get in front of who you're trying to get in front of.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking at it is probably one of those things for those who have been running Google ads for years, like hindsight 2020 with just keywords and now all of these capabilities. It's definitely a lot more robust, it sounds like.
I think for any digital marketer, it's constantly changing and
Yeah.
evolving, and you're constantly having to keep yourself up to date, and it's difficult because you
Mhm.
learn and you master something, and then it all changes, but
Yeah.
you have to accept that and be okay with it.
Yeah, for sure. Being able to adapt is probably the most important thing in our field.
Well, I think that wraps that up for now. I mean, the important thing is that there's lots of different audiences that you can target, and it's a great way to get on multiple platforms of Google's properties. And I just, Performance Max is a great way to go. So, we really appreciate you listening in. If you would like to rate and review the podcast, that certainly helps us get in front of more people who would like to listen to the show. We do have a newsletter in case you don't get to hear every single one. You can join our newsletter by going to the website or over on LinkedIn. And of course, follow all of our social media as we post out these. All right, take care.